Hey guys, so you guys know about Hegelian dialect. That's a pretty common theme throughout history. The way that Satan has used people to take over nations or communities or civilizations or whatever. The way that he does it is through Hegelian dialect. That's a very strong occult principle that they use. That's thesis, antithesis, synthesis. You create a problem, you have the solution already lined up, and then you come in and save the day and everybody trusts you. And we all get tricked constantly. We need to realise that no matter how switched on and red-pilled and awake we are, there's still a ton of things that we fall for. And some of the most, awake, red-pilled, inquisitive people in the past, groups of people, have been tricked into joining the antithesis part of that Hegelian dialect and then just getting sucked right back into the Boris cycle that we go in. And so you got there's so many different applications for this that I could use as we got a million different examples today. But one of them is politics, right? So you've got the degenerate left-wing, totally self-destructive, anti-logic, emotion-driven madness of the left, or whatever you call them, the progressives, right? And they're just constantly trying to burn civilization to the ground because they hate the West, and deep down it's probably all daddy issues and stuff like that they haven't dealt with or whatever. But then, or they've been, abused, and there's a lot of trauma there, and trauma does affect people like that. It turns them more geared towards that kind of thinking, the emotion, victim, me stuff. Then you've got the right wing, right? And the right wing's good, yeah. They're conservatives. They're trying to fight that. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, yeah. Well, no. Historically, no. That's not correct. Historically, that's the antithesis, and that's always been controlled as well. And that's what the right-wing conservative side is today. It's just a controlled version of what you actually want, what we actually want. So that's like your Donald Trumps or whatever, who's fighting all the evil left-wing side, yeah? No, he's actually not. He works for the same people. He's owned by the same people. It's all a facade. And that's not like an isolated thing with just him. That's all of them. Every political figure now, politics is just Jerry Springer for grown-ups. It's not real anymore. It might have been a long time ago. I wasn't around for that, but these days politics is all just a stage show, and it's all scripted. Every single thing is planned in advance, and it's all thesis, antithesis, synthesis. And it's designed. It's not just accidental that politically every Western country is divided 50-50. It's designed that way. And that's how the devil operates. He keeps us fighting with each other, arguing with each other, constantly, fighting and arguing over whatever. And it doesn't matter what the subject is. It can be race, it can be sex, it can be political views, whatever. He's gonna just try and keep people in camps fighting each other, so that we don't see the big picture. And the big picture is that both sides are controlled. So this corona stuff has woken up a bunch of people. There's all these people that really want to fight the injustice. And that's, it's good in a way. I think that taking a bunch of red pills is fantastic. But it's a trap to think that it ends there. It's a trap to think that you've taken a few red pills and now you understand the world and you can't be tricked. That's a very dangerous way to think. You can always be tricked, and you always got to be constantly looking out for where the tricks are. The devil's been doing this for over 6,000 years. He's not dumb. He's very good at what he does, at getting us to fight each other. And you need to take a step back. Sometimes the only winning move is not to play. You really need to take a step back, look at both sides, and evaluate, could both sides be controlled of this argument? And yes, 100% they are. If you look at the whole resistance to all this corona stuff, the David Icke's and the Alex Joneses and all that, you dig deep enough, you find out that they're all controlled. They're all controlled ops, they're all gatekeepers, they're all very much working in the antithesis. So it's a setup. and we shouldn't be trapped into thinking that this resistance is going to build some utopia. That's the whole idea of fighting for a utopia. Look, historically, where that's gone, there's no exception to human nature until Christ returns and sets us all straight. There's not going to be a utopia. There's not going to be a world without hunger and pain and sin. And ironically, the people that are doing most of that stuff to the world, that are responsible for that, are in control of the resistance, ultimately. And you go down the rabbit hole of looking into like Blavatsky's Theosophy, and all she did, and that's this lady's like the United Nations worship this lady. They're all following in her doctrine, and the world leaders all follow like what she, like her philosophies, Theosophy. That's what it is. The Lucis Trust and all that. You look into those principles, and all she did was go around to the east and to the west as well. She went around a lot and gathered as much information as she could from and tried to piece together what was scattered when the Tower of Babel fell. And she tried to put it all together. And what happens when you do that is you become a Luciferian, and that's what happened to her. And so that's everything's flipped upside down, and the devil is the good guy who's trying to set us free. There's this mean old bully god who treats us like garbage and keeps us in a big fishbowl and just burns us like ants with a magnifying glass. And Lucifer's trying to set us free from that mean god. So she just flips everything upside down, and it's like it's a pity party thing, like, oh, poor me, directly from Lucifer. And that's the train of thought that these people follow. So everything's upside down to them, and those guys are the same people that are in control of the entire narrative, the thesis and the antithesis, the left and the right, the good and the bad. There's a lot of hidden truth in Star Wars. So if you watch the old video, I think it's called Dualism, the Religion of the Illuminati. It's a bit buried on YouTube, but if you type that in, it should come up. And that's what they believe. It's all the yin yang stuff. It's like you need to have darkness to have light. You need to have good to have evil. You need to do both. You need to balance the force. It's all very Star Warsy stuff. And in Star Wars, you've got the the big bad people, and then the rebellion. But you look through the history, and both sides are always controlled. Like even in Star Wars, both sides have have dodgy stuff going on, and good people turning bad, and people turning, fighting each other. It's dualism. It's what the devil does to keep us in a perpetual loop of fighting each other, and it just keeps us scattered. And it's so that he can construct his own little kingdom without us even realizing it. And it works really well because we're so divided. So I think, like, ministry wise, any guys that have like influence in ministry, we need to be making sure that people aren't getting tricked into those arguments over like smaller things, because that's left the church absolutely defenseless and weak and useless. Is all the arguments that we've had that have just kept us divided, kept us weak, kept us distracted. So we don't do anything. We don't see the traps and the lies and the tricks. And then, something like Corona happens, and we're just useless as a floppy fish out of water, just flapping around on the deck. Like we can do nothing because we're so divided and we're so busy arguing over like theology or whatever. Some of the coolest Christians in history had no idea on theology. They got saved in a desert when they were starving and just like did awesome things for God. We need to try and not be so high-minded with theology and focus on what's going on around us and how the devil is tricking us, and never get proud enough to think that you can't be tricked, because that's a very dangerous place to be in. And it won't end well. So always be on the lookout for the tricks. Don't have any sacred cows when it comes to the resistance, because the resistance, in my opinion, is going to be totally controlled. And there's a lot of stuff that can back that up. If you haven't watched E511's video on, he's doing a series at the moment on what's his name? I don't know. Look up E511 Ministries on YouTube and just look up his latest series that he's doing. He's done a good job. I don't agree with everything the guy says, and he's gonna hurt your feelings because he kills a lot of sacred cows, which I kind of like about him. So definitely go and check that out, guys. And just let's all be a bit more cautious when we're just teaming up with whoever agrees with us, because you might end up in the antithesis, which is ultimately the devil's synthesis. That's what you get dragged into. God bless.